Hey everybody, back again with Marlon Eagle, Derek Boyko, Josh Frankel, back here to continue our set review of Dragons of Tarkir. Here we are finishing up the final color. We are on green, and we're starting with Airy Bowmasters, a 3/4 reach for 4 mana, with the beloved Megamorph mechanic. 6. Uh, I think this is pretty aggressively costed, particularly for a common. It's a lot better than the Sagu Archer in common.
Yeah, what is this? This is a great comment.
You all
Yeah,
remember Cloud Crown Oak being insane, right? Because it was pretty
yeah.
insane.
Cloud Crown Oak was very good.
Like I have to imagine this card's pretty good, but there's I guess there's a lot of 2/1s, right? There's not as many like 4 power creatures as there were in cons, except they're all
I
in the
feel
air. So
a lot of the flyers are going to be bigger just because there's a lot of dragons, but it's not necessarily a defensive creature per se.
no,
But it makes it so much better than the other one. Um, I said its name a minute ago. Sagu Archers.
I mean,
yeah,
3 power versus 2 power
It
makes
could
it a
get
lot more aggressive, yeah.
yeah,
potentially 4 power. Yeah,
right.
no, this card's
Uh,
really good.
I
Probably
don't imagine you make more of it that often.
sure.
well, the thing is, megamorphing it allows it to take down those dragons with even after you megamorph
Right,
those. So
right, later in the game. I mean, I guess if you draw it later in the game
right, or
or
if
the
you
mana works out where you
know that they have
play it at 3 and something else. But,
Yeah,
right.
this card's super flexible.
Ideally, you're playing it on 4. Solid card, good common.
Yeah.
Moving, we've got Anok Artillerist. It's the delightful Hound Archer.
Oh,
So Elvish Hunter with a little bit of a bonus, not a big one though.
eh. I take a shot in the dark. Say this one's probably not very good, but
No, I would.
it's fine. Some decks want a 4 power guy for 3. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's
it's fine.
worse. It's certainly worse than the Grizzly from Cons, and that one of the biggest bonuses from that was that it triggered Ferocious, but this set does not have Ferocious.
This
Um,
gets you
You do
halfway.
have the 8 power matters.
yeah, it does help with that. It dies to a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There aren't as many tokens, so at least you're probably trading with a real card.
And it's pretty obvious
True.
that
I
like
mean, it's
a 5/2 reach just isn't very good. So yeah,
right. I mean, it's filler. I imagine it'll make your deck like a small percentage of the time, but it's really nothing special.
yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Ooh, the last of
All
this
right.
cycle. So Enoch
Well,
Survivalist.
this isn't that cycle. This is that cycle you're talking about. The that
The
two.
Yeah, this is the uncommon
the
one.
unmorphed
This is on.
spell cycle. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant like the rare one.
No.
Um. Yeah. This is whatever that morph is from Onslaught, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. Basically.
I mean, it flips up.
The onslaught one was a 3/2, I think.
Yeah, the Onslaught one was a 3/2. So this flips up with as a 3/2 with the same
Oh yeah,
cost.
right. Mega Morph.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much better. Wait.
Well, the only difference is you can play this on turn 2 as a 2/1, and the other one, if you didn't morph it, it was a 3/2 for 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
this is better.
different but similar.
for sure. This guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's fine. I don't know how prevalent enchantments are going to be in this set, or if there's going to be anything that you want to take this guy early. If there's a lot of things that you actually have to worry about.
I mean, when your enchantment and artifact removal comes for free on a creature, it like you don't need to always get a 2 for 1 for it to
Oh,
be
right,
great.
right. I'm just
Sure.
saying in terms of how high you pick him.
Yeah, I still probably I probably still take I like this kind of effect for
In some
free. Like
like
I
Thera,
still probably take it pretty high.
but yeah, he's fine. So assault. Speaking of enchantments, assault formation. So each creature you control assigns combat damage. Ooh, so it's like Doran. Target creature with defender can attack this turn as though it didn't have defender. Creatures you control get +1/+1.
So
It's kind of cool.
this is exactly the card that we need for the next Rise of the Eldrazi that's coming out with Zendikar 2.0 because I really want that Vent Sentinels deck to attack.
I mean, the card's kind of cool. I don't know how good it is, and it feels like a commander card,
Oh, for sure.
or just like a super casual card, if that's even a thing.
I mean, maybe it fits in some weird devotion-y deck with like you get to attack with your caryatids, and
Well,
it's
they have,
good with Courser.
wait, no, no. Yeah, it's I mean, I could see if you've got like a really defensive deck. I'm talking about limited now with like rotting mass, not whatever the equivalent of rotting mastodon is.
Sure.
A lot of large toughness guys. You could play this, and
Yeah.
you've got a bunch of 6/6s instead of 1/6.
I mean, it's a decent mana sink too in limited. I think it's totally playable in limited. I don't know if it's a bomb, but it's definitely playable.
I mean, it's playable if there's, if you got a bunch of 2/1s, then this card is a pile of trash.
Yeah. I mean, it makes if you don't want it to make your creatures worse, and then you get to pump them.
Right. It kind of, even though it's a lot different, it's the same idea as something like Secret Plans. Like, you're not really going to take it and draft around it, but if you see it pick 10 and it goes in your deck, you're like, wow, this could actually like make my deck a lot better.
Wait.
It's
who's
probably a
not
lot
get-
easier to draft around though. You don't have to give up as much. You just have to value your creatures slightly differently. And
Yeah, I mean, who's not going to take this and draft around it? Excuse me? This is like
I don't
my
know.
type of card.
I think a lot of people are not going to take this and draft around.
Oh no, I'm going to lose horribly because I built a deck around this, but I'm going to take this card.
but you don't have to build the deck around it. You just have to like, okay, I'll value the 2/3 a little bit higher than
Right.
the
Sure.
3/2 or whatever.
It's
you know?
also not a symmetrical effect, though, to point out.
No,
So,
it's not a symmetrical effect. I mean, it's cool. I think it's kind of cool. Like, it's a cool design.
yeah, definitely. I like it. It
It
has
would
a
be
lot of
very good.
applications.
If it was a symmetrical effect, it'd be insane. Then you just really draft around it because
Right.
you're probably shrinking a good chunk of your opponent's creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Anyway,
I
yeah.
like it. I'm sure it'll be in a deck that I have, and that'll have a great time. So now we've got a grizzly bear with formidable. So, okay, so I guess it's fine as a bear. I don't know how reliable it is to pump it. It's a lot of mana. 4/4 is +4 is kind of a lot. But again,
Yeah, I mean these kind of guys tend to be really good in the past. It takes a little bit more work to get his pump. You don't just have to have the mana open; you need to have a lot of power on the board.
right.
Sure.
But like the other versions of this card were very very good.
What, like the
Like the
It's-
bears that pump for a lot of mana.
it's a
Beastbreaker.
cycle in Legions, right? Is that what you're talking about?
There was one in Selesnya. It was very good. They've had a bunch. They had in Innistrad. You had the pump bear, who was insane.
Yeah,
Oh,
that card
right,
was nuts.
yeah. The wolf.
The dire wolf,
Yeah.
or the wolf. Yeah.
I mean, this is clearly worse than that. But this is a little bit closer to the Selesnya one, which took 6 to pump, I believe.
I can't remember what card that is.
I mean,
It's
anytime you
white
get
bear.
a bear that has late game potential, it goes up a notch.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, ideally, you're playing this on turn 2 and trading with another 2/2, but the good thing about this is if you draw it late in the game, it actually can make a difference.
Yeah, that's it. These tend to be pretty high picks. This might be a little bit tough to get it to be relevant.
Right.
A lot of the time, for it to be a really high pick. In the past, this type of guy was like a top 3 pick. Like this one might be a little worse than that, but still
Right.
very good for a 2-drop.
It is a
and
warrior, too, if that ends up being relevant.
sure. Just not in a good color for it.
Right. But if you're like green white or something like that, then like, it could have vigilance, that type of thing. All right, Avatar of the Resolute. We got a little rare here. So it's a 3/2 reach trample. And it comes into play with a +1/+1 counter for each other creature with a +1/+1 counter.
So the thing that annoys me is you can't actually go turn 1, 1/1 evolve guy, turn 2 this guy, and then get the counter on it. Because it comes into play with the counters, but your evolve guy doesn't have a counter yet. So
Yeah, it should be
I
a
don't-
trigger.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it enters the battlefield with that amount of counters, so it's not a trigger, is it?
No,
If
it should
the
be.
creature
Yeah,
you
but
control
sure.
with the counter. It
Yeah, that's
does?
what we
Okay,
expect.
then I'm just wrong. Okay, this card might be sweet in some sort of green devotion
Well,
aggro deck.
is it? Because it wouldn't it say that when it comes into play.
I'm pretty sure it just enters the battlefield with counters. It doesn't
Yeah,
trigger checks
like,
as it enters.
Yeah, it would be like when this enters the battlefield, put a +1.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So it doesn't work at all with that card from God. What was
I mean,
it?
it works with it. It
Gatecrash.
just doesn't work on curve with it.
Right.
No, it doesn't work on curve.
Yeah, it's what the hell's that card? Experiment 1.
Experiment 1,
yeah.
that one, yeah. That's what I'm trying to think of, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the dream that I want it to be is Experiment 1 make a 4/3 trample, but that just doesn't work. And I'm very upset about that.
Right.
In reality, this guy's still a pretty good 2-drop.
Well, this guy's very heavily pushed.
And like Devotion again is for at least a little bit, like it's a thing.
Right. I don't know how good it's going to be in, if you're talking about standard Devotion, just as a 3/2 trample for 2.
Well, it's also just to get like a reasonable body that has 2 mana symbols on it for 2 is
Right. I mean, it could be. I'm just not sure off the top of my head if there are better options than this. But again, I feel like this is probably like okay in limited, probably fine. It's kind of more of a commander card, despite being costed aggressively. I just feel like it would be hard to make it work consistently in any sort of constructed format.
There was that pump spell that looked at Devotion that saw play briefly at some point, and then we didn't have enough creatures that went well on. It goes really well with this guy.
This thing having trample was very relevant with that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's an interesting card. Like I think it'll see some play. I don't know if that's going to be a tier 1 deck, but it'll see some play.
Right. It's a type of card that people want to play.
Yeah.
Definitely has potential, yeah.
So now we have Circle of Elders. It is a 2/4 Vigilance. And you can Basalt Monolith.
Yeah. I don't like this card.
Yeah, it's a little bit worse than Basalt Monolith.
It's quite a bit worse.
Quite a bit worse than Basalt Monolith. I mean, it's generally going to be a 2/4 Vigilance.
So,
which is fine.
What is that, like Standing Troops or something?
Yeah. Isn't Standing Troops a 1/4 for 4? But I think so, right?
It's possible.
Yeah, tying 2/4 for 4 Vigilance is a fine body.
I mean, it's not great.
I mean, I guess like if you have some use for that, if you have like something, I don't know.
I know you
I mean,
I'm trying to say like if it's 9 mana spell or something, you don't.
Like if you have 8 power on the board, how much more do you need 3 mana?
I can't see it coming up that often. It'll come up once or twice.
Right. I mean, it'll help you kind of get like mega, mana at 1 point or 2.
Like you'll get to play like a 6-drop and a Megamorph or something on the same turn.
Yeah, but I mean that's certainly not the common scenario.
Yeah, it's not something that really even fits in a deck. That's just it's a body.
Kind of like a weird card.
Yeah.
Right. So Collected Company, we got a 4-mana instant. So we've got look at the top 6. Put up to 2 creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them into play. Put the rest in the bottom of your order.
This card has to be good, right? Like
for
constructed anyway.
I think 6 is a lot.
So you have to have
a lot.
Like what deck are you putting this in?
Well, I'm assuming there's some sort of combo with this in Modern. There has to be, right?
You gotta be a third. If you're a third creatures in your deck, you're hitting 2 on average.
Well, there's that Selesnya instant from original Ravnica. Put 3 creatures on top of your library. Like,
right.
This seems to combo pretty well with that. Like, I forget what it's called. It's collected something.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I guess you could do that plus this and
Congregation.
What's it called?
Congregation is done.
Congregation and Dawn. Yeah, this is
the old birthing pod. What was that? 2-drop.
In birthing pod.
Yeah, well, the old versions of birthing pod used to play the combo with.
You're talking about like
Boyks counter guy.
Malira?
What's her name?
Malira?
Yeah.
Oh, Malira, right.
Yeah, Malira pod. Yeah. I mean, I guess you can do that, right?
But isn't Court of Calling just better than this?
Probably, but
and Court of Calling
I don't know.
And Modern.
This card, it's at least a card that gets
better
you thinking.
if you go Congregation Dawn. into this.
No, this is the card that at least gets you thinking. Like if there's a combo like that, this card could be really interesting.
Right.
So
I mean, it's interesting at like the top of a curve
Sure.
in some kind of weird green aggro deck, I
Right.
guess.
You can maybe like at the end of the turn put like a Woolly Thoughter in the Knight of the Reliquary and play with modern. Like, I
Gorgeous
guess,
Nimble Mongoose. Game.
I'm trying to figure out a way that this would be
Yeah.
good.
How many creatures that fit the build do you need to play this in limited?
Oh boy, I have this.
All of them.
Probably blanks a lot in limited, honestly.
I don't know if I'd play this.
Considering how many morphs you have that are like over 3, I can't imagine this being good.
I mean, if you have 10,
I mean, if you have 10, you probably play this.
If
yeah.
you have 10, it's probably like 4 mana, put a 2/2 into play. I don't know if that's worth it. It's instant speed, I guess.
No, it's I think it's better than that.
It could
Four
be, yeah.
4 mana, put two 2/2s into play.
You're putting like 1.5, I think.
One and a half.
1.5, yeah, that's fair.
A 3-power guy. All right. Well, hopefully someone breaks this, but we're not doing it right now.
Alright, now this is a 2/4 I can get behind.
We failed, yeah.
So you could get 2 of these into play.
Yeah. I love me some horn turtles. Mm-mm.
And this is, oh god,
It's way better than the horn turtle.
Yeah, it is.
This is like broken.
better than a horn turtle.
I mean, it's not
This
a
is
turtle,
bloody.
but I'll take it.
It looks kind of like a turtle. It's like a armadillo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you probably play this. There's really no like upside other than it's.
Man, if I have like 3 of these, I'm just gonna not play 2-drops. You could just blank all your opponent's 2-drop. What are they gonna do? What does a bear do when they see a Colossedon yearling? They cry.
Yeah, they do cry. Crying Bear is the next card on our list. Actually, it's Conifer Strider. It is a 5/1 hexproof. That's a lot of power, but it's not a lot of toughness, despite the hexproofness.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Dross Crocodile with hexproof. What are you
I mean,
putting
at
on
some
this?
point in Magic's past, you used to play these and they had Shroud. This is better than that.
Yeah, it's definitely better
I
than
mean,
that.
Magic was different then.
Right. I kind of hated. I hated Draw Crocodile. Incurable Ogre was like an actual Magic card. So like sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. I could see this, this being a bad card, or I could see it being fine.
These tend to be great sideboard cards, like against the controlling deck that's playing like 5 creatures, and they don't want to trade any of them for your.
Right. They don't really want to trade their like 5 mana 4/5 for this idiot.
Yeah.
Or obviously if you have like some combat tricks, it's really good. With
Sure.
the
It's hard to save it with a combat trick.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Kind of a cool-
Like you get to, I guess you get to like punish them once or twice when they try to block with a bear, but then you're trading your combat trick for a bear. It's not that great. I mean,
No, I mean this. I'm not excited by this card. I'd like to see like getting my ass kicked by it. It looks cool though. So
it's rough when you like your opponent plays this and you miss your land drop and can't play anything. You get hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
But
So we've got a mythic lizard beast.
This
card's awesome.
has to be a nightmare in limited.
So this is so it is death touch. Whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, you may return it from your graveyard to play face up or face down. Jeez,
This seems
That's a magic
extremely impactful for constructed.
that's
Sure.
a good card.
This is a great card, right? Like this is really push.
Like, assuming you're playing a bunch of morphs in your deck
Right?
against the
Is
Wrath
is
deck.
there a deck right now that plays a lot of morphs? I don't.
Even then, like just
But I think
play 4 of these and it's still fine.
right. I think after this set there might be because they're really pushing the whole morph thing.
Yes.
So I mean this card in limited it's just a nightmare. It's just an absolute nightmare if your opponent has one of these.
I think it's very, very good and constructed too.
It
Yeah.
could certainly be. I mean
You play this alone, it's already terrific.
And if we're
you
talking
play-
about this like green devotion aggro deck too, like this fits in perfectly, right?
right.
I
Well,
think this
it-
fits in any green deck, to be honest.
Sure.
I mean,
Like mid-range green deck, it's
How-
a nightmare for control. They kill your first one, you draw another one, and you get given enough mana, you get 2 of them.
right. I mean, I think its power level. It has the power level to be certainly played and constructed. Whether or not it's insane and constructed depends on how many morphs. If there's a deck that wants a lot of morphs, because I mean, if if there's an actual tier 1 deck that has like 10 or 12 more creatures,
Well,
like this,
like Green White Devotion right now,
this
this
thing's like
fits pretty well.
this thing's like a pillar of the format though, if you have a deck with a lot of morphs. Like this thing is, this thing.
I think it has potential to be a pillar of the format if there's just one other playable morph.
Right. I mean, yeah, if there's another morph that you can have 4 of in a deck.
And like just look at like the we didn't get there yet. But
No,
like
we
look
didn't
at the
get there.
Megamorph.
Well, this is definite. Yeah, this card's good. I mean, I could see it being like a $25 card like a week after the set's release. Like this, I think it's going to make a big impact.
It's a very good
It
card.
has potential to be insane in the right meta for sure.
It depends what the format looks like, but it's a very good card. At some iteration of standard, while this is legal, I'm sure it'll be a very good card.
Now we've got a morph that may or may not be constructed playable. Den Protector. Do not mess with her den.
No.
So this finishes off the cycle of these rare 2/1 Megamorph for 2. So when turn face up, return target card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, this card's
Playable, right?
really good, right? Well,
Card's
so it's an Eternal Witness with Morph, basically. That has like somewhat relevant aggressive.
And it's a little bigger, but they can't block it with 2/2s or 1/1s.
Sure.
Which is certainly relevant. I mean, you can't block it with Hordeling Outburst tokens.
Yeah. I mean,
the card's terrific.
You can't
Seems-
chump it. Another thing that's great about it, you can't chump it with Manifest tokens if you're talking about,
Mastery the Unseen. Sure. I mean, they're already at 1,000,000 life because that stupid green white deck, but
but the bonus, you guys are going to trade for like basically no card.
can you imagine playing this in the green white deck just to make the game go even longer? It's gonna be great.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It could be in a deck with this Raptor.
No, it's definitely powerful. This is a very heavily pushed card.
They all kind of are. I
It's
was
a super powerful format. It's going to be a super powerful format.
I like this type of power. I think that power creep is like certainly real, and I'm not a huge fan of where it's going. But a card like Deathmiss Raptor reminds me a lot of Vengevine, which was like really powerful. You kind of have to build around it a little bit, but there's a reward.
I'm cool with power creep as long as because power sort of the power sort of goes in waves. But where we've really had power creep is in creatures and away spells get worse, creatures get better. I'm okay with power creep as long as once in a while we get these powerful spells to go with it.
Right.
I think in this format we get the powerful spells. So
my issue was always just the Baneslayer Angel power creep. Like we'll just make a guy that's like super big, super cheap, and just has a billion keywords on it. That's not exciting. Like this Raptor is like exciting to me. Like I'm looking forward to trying to play.
It's a very interesting card.
Yeah,
interesting.
Powerful but interesting. Powerful. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. All right. So let's move on.
So this is Autumn's Veil 2.0 kind of, but it also has destruction added on, which is kind of sweet.
Start target blue or black non-creature permanent. Okay. Terms you control can't be the target of blue or black spells once spell turn. So this is I'm assuming this is part of that cycle, despite the fact that this is the only one that you can choose, right?
It's a charm for some reason. Yeah.
This should have cost 1.
They all cost 2. That's probably why.
Non-creature permanent. Yeah.
So you
should have all cost 1.
You can kill a Planeswalker.
You can kill Planeswalkers with it. You can kill Disguise Ascendancy with it.
It's a fine sideboard card, but I think it's tough to sideboard for the second part at 2 mana.
Permanents you control can't be the target of blue or black. I mean, counters removal spells.
Like Ranger's Guile saw sideboard play, but it was 1 mana. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
2 mana's tough.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a very flexible card though.
It does. It kills things like Narset, like the Planeswalker Narset, Ashiok.
Which is a big problem for green decks, so that's relevant.
The 7th Annika Rook kills, so it does take down some Planeswalkers for pretty cheap. So if you have a deck that has trouble with those type of cards, this is certainly a viable sideboard card, I think.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll see some sideboard play. I wish it
In
got.
limited, I think it's less of a sideboard card than the other ones, just because its applications are limited. Like the other ones actually kill things, and this doesn't kill creatures.
Yeah, this is a very borderline limited. Even as a sideboard card, it's very borderline.
So now we have Dragon Scarred Bear, which clearly was fucked up by some dragons. So it's a 3/2, and you can regenerate it with Formidable. Just standard.
I'm trying to figure out how hard it is to get 8 power on the board. It's probably not that hard.
You probably need.
You just have to not trade.
You probably need like 3
And
creatures
hopefully
not
that doesn't
trading
punish
early. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a card you play. It's like your 15th
It's
best
filler.
card.
Yeah, it looks like filler, but maybe formidable like happens more than I'm imagining. I don't know.
I don't know if you can rely on it. I mean, it's even with Formidable, it's not like it's amazing. You know, it's a 3/2 regenerator for 2 mana. You know, those things aren't going to break the format.
It's pretty good. Like three power that you're not going to actually have to regenerate it. They just can't block it for quite a while.
Yeah, some
Maybe.
of this is just speculative based on how good Formidable actually is.
No.
I mean, you're not gonna have formidable on turn 4 with 2 mana up
Right.
very often. That's for sure.
Right.
That's for sure.
All right, let's move on. Guys, not.
Yeah, it's a little unbearable to
Yeah.
keep talking about that one. All right,
They're not flowing.
let's go down to this.
So bolster 4 for 5.
There was a bolster 3 card in Fate Reforged, I want to say.
Yeah.
So
For
this is
3
just
mana.
bolster 1 more.
This is interesting because it's hard to get blown out. Like you do this on defense before blockers. They can't just like kill the guy.
Right,
And,
then it'll-
depending on the removal, they can kill it after you cast it, I guess. But
I'm not a huge fan of cards like this. I don't think the bolster 3 one was very good, was it? I've never seen anyone play it.
that was sorcery.
It was a sorcery. Well, they had the white one, bolster 2 for 3 mana.
That card's great. I love that card. That's 3 mana.
Great as a stretch.
You gain 4 life. It's wonderful.
I don't know. This feels like an okay combat trick, but
It's an expensive combat trick.
it's a little.
It's interesting.
expensive, yeah.
It's really expensive for a combat trick. That's the thing. It's really expensive.
Right.
Like you hold this up, you kind of just have to cast it.
Right.
If they don't attack into you, you just cast it,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
You hold 5 mana open.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a type of card that I won't play, but other people will play a lot more than me. Other people,
I'll play it. I'm not gonna take it early because I don't love this kind of effect, but I think it's like I'll play it.
Okay.
If it's on color and I pick it up in the middle of a pack or whatever.
So Epic Confrontation, probably better than Bear Punch.
The art's way cooler, and the flavor text is great.
So it's just a Dragon Punch now.
It's Dragon
So-
Punch. So the story here is all the cons are weaker in the new set because the timeline's been reversed. That's why like Zurgo's a bell ringer. So in this story, he still punches something, but he punches a dragon even though he's weaker, which is kind of cooler.
It knocks out all his teeth.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know how much the one less power is gonna matter. Probably not that much, to be honest.
Well, I mean, at least you don't need the setup. Like
The
your
toughness.
bear just
you don't need
gets
you don't
the-
need to do setup at all. It just always does +1, +2.
Yeah.
So,
I think this is probably better than the Bear Punch. I think almost definitely better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a high pick. You know,
Definitely.
I would, if this was in the same pack as Bear Punch, I'd take this over Bear Punch easily. And Bear Punch was
Agreed.
already like a 4th or 5th pick.
Yeah. No, this card's gonna be great. It's definitely one of Green's like best commons so far from what we've seen. So
It might be constructed playable. I wouldn't be surprised if Siege Rhino kills my Siege Rhino kills your Siege Rhino. My
I mean, if you're playing white and black, you got better options.
yeah, typically these effects are going to be played if they're instant speed. So
sometimes
Like you got
I think it's in
right now. You have the other one there, the instant speed that you can target multiple guys.
it's a test in tactics. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy.
All right.
Yeah, you still have that in the format. I think you still play that.
So we have reprinted from Onslaught. I don't know if it's
super excited for this card.
Oh man, I love this freaking
explosive
card. I
vegetables.
play this way more often than I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
I always like this card in Constructed. I've never had a chance to play with it in Limited. In Constructed, I loved it.
I mean, in Theros, I drafted the enchant land that did this, basically. This is better. Even.
No, explosive. There was an entire archetype based around explosive vegetation back when it was, legal in Odyssey.
Back in Onslaught?
Or
yeah,
Onslaught. Was it Onslaught?
It was Onslaught. It was like, who could get their Chroma out first?
Right. It was, there was an entire archetype of just based around this one card. So I can imagine this card doing some silly things if the format allows it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really powerful.
Limited, I never played with it in Limited. Could be good.
There's enough 7-drops in this set where you're ramping to 7 on turn 5 is actually relevant. So,
speaking of 7,
ramping into this guy seems pretty good.
This guy is absurd.
Razor Regent. That is a hard name to say. So when it comes into play, fight something. Whenever a creature you control fights, so it comes in, kills something, gets 2+1/+1 counters.
Yep.
So it basically comes in as a 6/7 that kills the guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's a 4/5 that becomes a 6/7. So it has to kill something that's 4 or less. But
which shouldn't probably
shouldn't be that big of a deal usually.
No, it's a good card. I like it better than in terms of 7-drops. I like it better than the 6/4 double striking dragon from Fate Reforged.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Way better, and it's harder to kill. And yeah.
I mean, it's a bomb card. It's not over the top, but it's very strong.
Pretty over the top.
It's kind of there was a card like this in Gatecrash, right? Like a 7-drop.
White one. It didn't fly. I still first pick that card almost always, but
what was the card? It was wasn't whenever it came into play under your control it fought a creature.
Yeah, was it Gruul Warbeast or something like that?
Yeah.
I was thinking of the white one that exiles.
No. It's a 7-drop. Yeah.
No, it's I don't think it's going to be good and constructed because it's just too expensive, but it's like a bomb limited rare.
Yeah, definitely.
Yet another dragon for the mythical dragon deck. We're in 5 colors now.
That's okay. There's not going to be any more dragons in this set. I think that's all of them.
I can see it being a one of in the decks that are playing the Hydra there.
Oh,
the
sure.
X Hydra.
Yeah. That's actually a good point. Yeah. So we have a 3/3 defender for 2, and if you have formidable, you can attack with it.
Hooray!
It's probably okay. I mean, if it's bad against some decks, but if your opponent's playing a bunch of little dudes, this kind of bricks them for a while, and then you can swing through it eventually.
I think this is actually an important card for the a green-red formidable archetype, because it also really helps you get to formidable quickly.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
having power on turn 2.
You want 3 of these in that deck for sure. It gets better the more you have to.
Going back to that bear that we were talking about, the 3/2 with regeneration. I mean, you could conceivably go this on turn 2, bear on turn 3, 2/2 on turn 4, and attack with regeneration mana.
Yeah, that's how you do it. It still won't happen that often, but
no, it won't.
I mean, I think this card's actually very good and limited.
I think this card's fine. Yeah, I think this is a card that you play. I mean, there's probably some decks where you don't play it, but I think most of the time it's actually going to be pretty good in whatever deck it's in.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know exactly how to.
Probably a pretty high pick. The common's absurd though, so it's not that high a pick just because. You're not taking it over 3/4 reach guy. I don't think.
No, you wouldn't.
Anyway, yeah.
I feel like there's enough 3/2s where I'm not sure it's actually good, but it's probably good enough.
Well, they don't cost 2.
No, they don't. Well, not a lot of them anyway.
Yeah, it trades up. It's not.
Sure.
It's fine. So. Guardian Shield Bearer, pretty blah. I mean, it's okay if you have +1/+1 counter synergies, but it's at best it's a 3/2 that you've invested 7 mana in.
Yeah, I don't know. This is
that Mega Morph is expensive. It's fine though.
It's okay.
It's either your Piker or your token Morph that you play on turn 3 and. Well, I mean, it can set up some kind of nice trick later on.
It can. It can. I mean, it can. It's just not like I don't think it's like a great card by any means.
Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly high pick, but it's a very respectable like filler card.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a filler card. It's a card that you'll have to watch out for sometimes. Your opponent could like it's certainly a card that you'll have to like keep in mind.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just gonna make those decks like it's a card that like you probably don't cut that often. Like they come late, but it fills your 2-drop slot if you need something there.
That's true. So now moving on, we're finishing up the uncommon dragon cycle. Just the exact same as the rest of them. This one has trample. So we've seen all of them. How do we rank these guys in terms of
white best by far?
White life best.
First strike, maybe hexproof, death touch, sort of at the same, and this guy's the worst.
Yeah, I definitely think
trample's definitely the worst.
Yeah. I think white's the best, and this is probably the worst.
Yeah.
Blue's probably the second best, and then green, and then black.
I don't know how I feel about.
I think death touch is better than trample.
Yeah, I feel like death touch is generally going to be better than trample, but I'm not sure.
Right. I mean, this is I don't know, a 4/4 trample for 7 is, even though it's flying, is not like unbelievable.
Or 3/3 for 6. Yeah,
yeah. At least the 3/3 for 6 like death touch guy trades if you need to.
You still get to play him if this is the guy that's filling your morph slot or one of your morph slots, then you're still gonna play this thing. I mean it's nice to have the sort of split card where you get to play your gray ogre and you get to if the game goes late you get to spend mana and make it some kind of threat. But
sure,
right.
Yeah,
playing this face up for 6 is kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
So here's a card that has good synergy with the +1/+1 counter theme. So not only do they get indestructible, you draw a card.
Yeah, this is a sweet card. If you can make it work.
Yeah, if you can make it work.
It's like a huge it's a huge blowout.
Yeah, it's really good. The draw card thing kind of like pushes it over the edge.
How many? So there's 2 Dragons of Tarkir packs and 1 Fate Reforged. So in theory, you're playing a green-white deck when you're playing this often because that has the most bolster effects.
Yeah, bolster effects, things with Megamorph, things like that. Last dude we looked at that put a counter on guys. I mean, you really only need to have like 1 or 2. Like 1 counter's okay. Like 2 counters is like great. It's an instant speed divination that saves your creatures.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think you ideally, for this to be like really good, you have things that don't cost a lot of mana to get that +1/+1 counter on them. Like it's really really good with like say the 3-drop in white. That like you have a couple of those in your deck, and you just get to bolster early on for no additional investment, and you have this active really early in the game.
Yeah,
but if you're relying on Megamorph for 6 to get your counters, it's not exciting.
No,
it's not exciting in that case, but it can be a blowout. I mean, there are times you're going to draw 3 cards with this, and like save your guy in combat.
Yeah, I mean, in a green-white deck, I think I think like this card will be absurd in some iterations of green-white.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting card. Moving on, we have maybe my favorite creature type in all of Magic, which is Cat Beast.
There's a lot of Cat Beasts in this set and Hound Archers. Yeah.
I in fact refer to my cats as beasts because of Magic cards. So this is a Ironroot Tree Folk that we can make a guy block it.
I mean, lore effects are generally very good in limited. They tend to break stalls.
Yeah, this is probably a card I want in every green deck.
Yeah, I can see this card being very good.
I can see it being very good in red situations. I can also see it getting double blocked a lot in the wrong situations. But it's probably not terrible.
It's sort of just the way these tend to play out is they sit on the board until they blow someone out. either with the game or
Well, I mean,
you set up some kind of bad situation in combat for them.
let's say you have 8 damage. Like, if you have 8 power on the board, what type of effect do you want out of Formidable? I mean, you probably want your opponent to not block the rest of your 8 power, so... This seems like a pretty good effect on the card, assuming you get to activate it. Otherwise, it's just a vanilla 3/5 no abilities on a board, which might not be good enough.
Three power for 5 mana in a green deck is not interesting.
Like,
it's just like it's important for a green deck to have the stall breaker, you know?
Sure.
Because green decks tend to get into like a stare down a lot of the time, and this is an inevitability when the game goes on.
Yeah, if you have enough mana, this card's very good.
Like there was that 1/3 from Champions.
hmm.
Oh,
Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
One-
Decoy something.
It was Shinnin of Life's Roar was the name of the card.
Oh no, that card was insane. But there was another one.
Oh, that
There
card
a
was
snake.
bonkers, yeah.
No,
There was a snake that did it. It was a 1/3 snake that like if it dealt damage, they tapped, and you can pay green and 2 to make something block it.
Oh yeah, like Orochi, like something or other.
Sure.
Yeah. But
one of
that,
those
I mean, that
guys.
card was great because the game goes on and it just takes over. Anyway, yeah, this card's similar to that.
This is the Cat Beast version.
Yeah, this is a cat piece upgrade.
All right. So now next card we've got Naturalize. I mean, nothing really to say here. It was in cons.
I'm trying to figure out what the art is. There has to be a joke.
It's
So
like
in cons, the art was a skull of a dragon, because the world is littered with dragon skulls. So this is supposed to be some sort of picture of civilization in cons or something. And
I totally can't make a thing out.
I'm trying really hard, but I don't know what it is.
I see some kind of like figure in a tree. I don't think that's what it is though.
It's probably a reference to Mardu, maybe, or no, Abzan. I mean, not Mardu. Probably Abzan. Like, I don't know if there's some sort of like mechanical beast. I honestly don't
That's
know.
what it
There's
looks
some
like.
kind of flag waving that's in tatters, or I don't know.
The flag has Tamir, Sultai. Those are all the con symbols. I am having a really hard time. Someone needs to tell me what this is, because it has to be a
It's a
reference.
reference to, yeah.
It
Maybe
has
it's
to be.
So like Clockwork Beast,
Yeah, something I'm missing that's very obvious. But
Bronze Horse.
there's not really much to talk about. Naturalize has been in literally every set for the last, 4 years.
This is kind of interesting. So
I love this card.
face down creatures cost 1 less. So if there is a Morph deck in Standard, I mean, this could be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love the design on this. You get to cash it in for a creature at a reasonable cost. Like if it's not doing what it's meant to do, like 'cause it would just be a horrible card if it only had the first line.
Oh, yeah, this card would be bad.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. You can just cash it in. You're like, all right, this card, I'm done with this. It's a 2/2. Yeah. I mean, weird. I don't know
I actually like
how often you play it.
I actually probably take it early in draft because you can cash it in for creature. Because like going turn 2 morph into I don't know 3-drop and then 2 like you draft a lot of morph with this and you get to curve out quickly.
Yeah, you get to go ham really quick.
And then when with your excess mana at the end you get to start morphing them. That's pretty cool. I don't know. Seems good.
It seems interesting. Next we have Pinion Feast, which is was a dragon eating another dragon. Really
You may make this
expensive.
limited, given that this is a dragon set.
Right.
No,
It's
this card's probably fine.
it's a really, really expensive plummet.
Yeah, I don't know if I would main deck this or anything, but it's something you want in your sideboard.
I mean, how many dragons are in a deck on average?
Maybe 2.
Probably 1 at least.
You
Maybe.
wouldn't main deck a card for 1 card, though.
Right.
No, but like you get the bonus, and you really want to kill dragons when
But
they
you can only get the bonus if you
Yeah,
if you use it.
yeah.
So
I think I main deck this a good portion of the time.
I don't think I main deck this ever. I think Return.
Unless I have like like if I had a good number of 3/4 reach guys, I'm not. But if I had trouble with flyers, I'd probably main deck it.
No, I think it's an important card for the set for limited, but I don't think it's necessarily something you would play super often. You might start off that way.
I'm not taking it early, but I think I'm
Yeah.
main decking it a good amount. I'm main decking it more than I normally would.
Sure.
Okay.
I think we'll see.
Symbiosis plus
Symbiosis,
trample?
this is not. Yeah.
No, this is not symbiosis, but the trample actually does matter.
This card's great.
It does.
This is
This
a great
card's fine.
card.
Was there a card like this in Theros? Like just 2 guys get +2/+2 for 4?
Yeah, in white though.
It was in white because, heroic.
The card was absurd.
Yeah, it was. It was 3 mana too, not 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, this giving trample is certainly advantageous.
The card's very good.
I mean, this will kill me occasionally.
This
Hopefully,
is a blowout and a half.
I don't love first picking this kind of card, but it's a card you're supposed to first pick a good portion of the time.
I don't know how often I first pick this. I guess in a weak pack.
I mean, my preference is to take a removal spell, but this is probably better than a good chunk of removal spells.
I think it's like probably an above average playable uncommon. I don't think it's a bomb uncommon.
I mean, you get 2 for
I like
1s often enough with this.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Josh here. This card just looks absurd. Especially when people are just morphing left and right, and you're just
Like when you're not 2 for
explode.
1ing them, killing them. Like I think this card's extremely good. I'll still pick it lower than I'm supposed to, because it's not the way combat tricks are not the way I like to get my advantage, but like it's a very good card.
It is a good card. I'm not disagreeing there. Cards like this tend to generally play out a little bit worse than they look. I mean, sometimes they're great. They're just not as consistent as you might want them to be.
I mean, even if they if you get into a situation, even if they have 1 pump spell in response or 1 removal spell in response, like it's still not going to fully blow you out. Your other guy still gets pumped.
I mean, how many pump spells can you play where you can literally choose 0 targets and still cast the spell? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can play this on turn 4 for nothing.
You
Game.
can.
Don't
Trigger
even
prop.
need creatures in play.
Yeah, no, it's an early pick. So now we have the fog of the set. So
Hooray.
you can fog and then look at it's like a fog with like 1/3 of spy network.
Have you had the joy of having a Lens of Clarity in play yet?
No.
Okay,
No,
I have.
I never will.
I played a 42 card deck where I random picked every card in the draft.
I think that's the only way you can get.
And I played Lens of Clarity, and you know what? It felt really good when I knew what my opponent's creatures were.
Did you disconnect or were you just trying something new?
No, I went to I rolled a die on every pick, and I just picked a random card.
Okay.
That's the only way I've played Lens of Clarity so far.
How many matches did that deck win?
I completely smashed my round 1 opponent. Not even close.
He must not have been pleased.
He was playing Black-White Warriors, and I just destroyed him. It was great. I was 5 color.
Log in photo again. I think. I don't know.
It was so good. I'm like, nice Abzan guide.
To be fair, I did like the spies for that reason.
No, but this is a card you're not caring about the second text. The second text doesn't matter. It's flavor. This is a 3-mana fog.
It's so much worse than the one in.
Yes.
Like it's not even funny how much worse it is than the one in Fate Reforged.
Right. The one before it's way better.
This is the type of card that you're gonna see 1 out of 40 games or something, just because somebody doesn't know and they put it in their deck, or they think they're really gonna get you.
Yeah.
It's purely a sideboard card. It's a good side. Like fogs are still good sideboard cards.
Sure.
It's a sideboard card against press the advantage decks.
But the thing that annoys me is you should be able to look at all creatures. Why only be attacking or blocking?
We've spent enough time on revealing wins.
3 mana is way too much.
It's a bit too much.
So, Saltwood Ambushes. Whenever another permanent you control is turned face up, if it's a creature, put counters on it. Okay. This is certainly a pushed uncommon.
Yeah.
Megamorphs is a
lord, right?
Yeah. It's a morph lord, essentially.
I don't like it doesn't trigger itself on the Megamorph. The Megamorph is expensive to not trigger itself.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily need to megamorph this. I mean,
No, I don't. I don't think you will. I
Ultimately,
just
you
think it's
want
odd.
to get Morph on turn 3 and then play this and then flip the Morph on
Mhm.
turn 5 for like something giant.
Yeah, no, I think the card's very good. I feel like it's weird that they gave it Megamorph and they didn't make it trigger itself on Megamorph.
I see what you mean. That might have been like a little bit odd templating
Sure.
to do that. So it megamorphs and it gets a counter, but because of its ability, it gets 2 more counters.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be clear that it would trigger. It would just have to say whenever this or another.
Right. I mean,
Anyway,
it wouldn't be
but
not clear. They don't like to do that anymore.
yeah,
they don't like it's always now you'll see a creature. It'll be like so and so like first strike. All other creatures you control have first strike. Before they just used to be like all creatures you control have first strike. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
They're like
yeah.
very deliberate in how things are worded now.
Uh, the next card, though.
But so
Quartermasters actually seems really good in limited, especially if you have like if you're going to be moving counters around, it allows you to move your bolster
I mean,
counters
at base,
around.
it's a 3/3 for 3. It's very good.
Well, it's a 2/2 for 3, right? Comes into play with 2
no,
counters.
it comes in as a 1/1, so it's a
Oh no, it's a
3/3.
1/1. Right, no, you're right. Right, it's a 3/3 for 3,
Yeah,
and
I
it
mean,
moves counters around.
It would not be great as a 2.
Screw Combat Red, really good with that 3 mana draw spell for the +1/+1
Yeah.
counters.
No, this card has to be really good.
Yes, I think the card's very good. Yeah, there's enough synergy. Like it's already good, and then there's enough synergy that it becomes an enabler, and it's very good.
Right, it screws up combat for like a couple turns, and then it kind of just sits there. But I think it'll have enough of an impact on the board, just in the way your opponent approaches combat, that it's probably pretty solid.
So, how early would you pick this card? Do you think? Like
It's first pickable. It's for sure first pickable.
first through 4?
I don't
First through
again.
5?
It may not be the kind of card I like to first pick, but I will first pick it.
Right, I'm not happy if I'm first picking this. I wouldn't take it over like removal. I take it. I think it's like a little worse, different card, but in terms of pick order, it's like a little worse than something like Pine Walker. Like
Sure.
ideally, you're getting it like third.
Interesting. It's an interesting card. At the
I mean,
very least, yeah.
I think at third pick already, though, you're considering it a pretty strong signal. I think it's very good. Yeah.
All right. Well, I found this leg for you. All right, next card.
Legs can give you
Yeah,
bolster.
this card needs a little bit more to stand on. That's all I can say. Like this is just not very good.
Doesn't stand on.
Yeah.
That scout needs to do some work.
Yeah.
It looks like it's delicious grilled, though, that leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
That
there's much to talk about with this card though. It's very
Bad.
straightforward and very bad.
I don't think it's very bad. I think it's fine.
It's a 2/2 for 5.
Well,
No,
it could be
4/4
a
for
5,
5.
4/4 for 5, but there's just so much better things to be doing in this.
No, like
format.
something's becoming a 4/4. I think these cards are. I think all these cards are fine. I think if you like, it's actually a bonus more than it's like it's better than a 4/4 for 5.
Is it?
I think so. I think the majority of the time it's better than a 4/4 for 5.
I don't know. I think it's pretty bad. I think this is not a good card.
Like you're giving it's like 4/4 for 5 where half of it has haste. Assuming that it's not like assuming that your bolster target's not really shitty. Like and I don't think it's that hard to set up that your bolster card is not super shitty.
Maybe I'm underrating it. I just think it's a bad card. But let's move on. Like Derek said.
Yeah, all right.
Oh man.
So we got a 2 for 2. Oh, dragon deck. So
It could
you
be a
can
3/4.
play it as- it'd be a 3/4.
This is not in the right colors for the dragon.
No, it's not.
It is definitely not in the right colors for dragon control.
No, it's
Unfortunate.
it's not even as good as Nissa's Chosen. I don't know how I feel about this card.
It's not. What do you mean it's not as good as?
Wait, why is it not as good as this?
Because it doesn't have Nissa. This card, the last time we saw a
I mean,
2
you
mana
can't
2/3, he
this,
played.
that's what you mean.
No. I mean, the last time we saw a 2 mana 2/3 though was because there was a planeswalker with it.
Right. That could just fetch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't the right card for the dragon control deck, unfortunately.
Could be sweet and limited. 2 mana, 3/4.
But a 3/4 dude, it's
Yeah, I mean,
kind of gross.
Could
It's
randomly
ever-
be huge.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Alright.
Alright. It's a worm.
So we've got the reverse Woolly Loxodon. Costs one. Obviously, the power and toughness are not as ideal. Costs one less to cast outright and one more to unmorph as a 7/6. Worse
I
than Woolly
think it's
Loxodon.
better than Woolly Loxodon. Is that weird?
I would disagree with you.
Uh,
I think the extra toughness,
I get to cast it on 6 though.
but you get to cast it as a morph and flip it as a 6/7.
Yeah, I guess Loxodon flipped at 6, but
yeah.
I think the extra set unlocks it on makes it better, just because it's harder to kill. If you can, if you really want to, you can block this thing with 2/3/3s. Like Loxodon ate those things for breakfast.
yeah, it's probably very close to how it compares to Loxodon.
It's close. I mean, yeah, it certainly is close in comparison.
Sometimes it'll be better, sometimes worse.
Right. It's sometimes it'll be there was a 6/5 for 6 in the other set, Tusk Colostodon or whatever that is, and
Yeah.
that's how.
And it wasn't particularly good.
And this card is better in every way. It's just that card was unplayable.
I don't know if I foresee this being the king of the
The
morphs,
format's
Loxodon
different.
was,
I think maybe the format's a little bit.
I feel like the
Sorry,
format's a
go
lot
ahead.
more aggressive to the point where I don't think a card like this is gonna really shine.
Oh, really? I was thinking it was less
So,
aggressive. But
Really?
I don't really know.
There's a lot of aggressively costed big creatures in this set.
Yeah, but a lot of them are. There's a lot of good defensive bodies too, like the 2/3s and the
Yeah.
2/4s and the.
Yeah, I don't know how aggressive this set is yet.
I don't know how good standing bears is in the border. The curves, the relevant curves might be starting at more 3
So
by the looks of it. I'm not sure.
the idea with this
All right.
Servant in the Scale is it's your bolster target. 1 mana
When
comes
it
into play with a counter, dies at arc.
So
You don't want this guy to be your bolster target. You want to exploit this guy, I guess.
It's got
I guess.
modular.
Or you could
essentially.
exploit it too, yeah. This is like a
I think
last
he's
pick
meant to
card
be
that sometimes makes your deck, but is not something you usually want. So
No, it's usually worse than I don't know. I can't remember the guy's name. The 1/1 for 1 with Graft from Dissension.
I love boarding these
that
in
guy was
against
actually
X1s.
sweet. Yeah.
So another mythic.
So this is
Shaman of
another
Forgotten
morph
Ways.
guy, right? No, this
So,
one's
yeah.
better.
It's terrific.
Well, each player's life total becomes it's a biorhythm for 11.
Biorhythm for 11, and you need 8 power.
It's just
to
like a
play.
nod to Nykthos, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. It's like,
Like, you
hey,
only
you
ever
want
do this.
Nykthos, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
This is a way to break
it-
up the
it's
the
actually
green white mirror, right?
I'm surprised this is not just triple green. Just to really push Nykthos. Hey, and the picture's a picture of you tapping Nykthos.
Tapping Nykthos. Oh, this card's pretty sweet with Genesis Hydra too, right? You just get to cast it.
Yeah, I
earlier.
mean,
I think the card's really, really good.
formidable aside, the ability's pretty good.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. You can play this card without the formidable, but the formidable will come up with Nykthos in the format.
Yeah.
It's like the mirror breaker, right?
It definitely is.
It's a way to bring the green white mirror.
Oh,
It's a way to bring
a lot
everything
of
back to 20
Yeah.
or at 100. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
mean, putting them at 20 means you could potentially kill them, which is way better than them being at 500.
No, it's good. It's really good in the mirror.
Sure.
Other than that, the ability is relevant. The tapping ability. Genesis Hydra obviously is a huge reason why.
Sure.
So it'll probably see play somewhere in there. I'm not sure what it replaces, but it'll go in there somewhere.
It's hard to replace course.
Constructed.
Yeah, it is.
So now we have a Shape the Sands +0 +5. That's a lot of toughness and gains reach.
So this is just a filler card. Not much to talk about with it, I think.
Nah, not even.
No.
Not even. This is.
It's not worth
I don't think I'm ever boarding.
If Josh said he's not going to play it, then no one's going to play it.
Yeah. However, there
Exactly.
could be a 5-color deck on the horizon with explosive vegetation in this card.
Yeah, I'm actually super excited.
2 mana of any one color. That's impressive. That's a lot of mana.
So it's a
Yeah.
fertile ground that turns your land into, tap for any color as well.
Well,
I
this
guess
card,
this is the deck that's playing all those Megamorph dragons.
Has to be.
This-
Megamorph.
it cost 4 in Fifth Dawn. That was Fifth Dawn, right? It was
That
like
added
Yeah.
2 mana though. This only adds 1 mana because it makes your land
No,
tap for 2.
what?
Oh.
No, this
Ooh.
only adds 1 mana.
Oh, okay. Never.
Oh.
Yeah,
Good as I
it's
thought.
not. You don't ramp twice. You ramp once and then color fix.
Jeez. So like 5 minutes ago, we were talking about them like clearing up the templating, but that confused the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Josh too. Josh thought it was ad.
Yeah, I was lost on this one too.
No, it's
I
not
thought
as
this
good
had
as
it
that.
too.
No.
All right. That's gonna confuse a lot of people. Before the first
I'm
time,
glad we cleared this up before I drafted like 5 of them.
Oh right. Because someone's gonna cheat at the pre-release. It's gonna happen.
right?
Just throw that
Even
out
if-
there.
Well, I wouldn't call it cheating. Just
They didn't
Not
know.
knowing.
Sure. It's
Uh,
going to
I remember
happen.
the Time Spiral pre-release. I played Tribal Flames as an instant for the first 3 rounds, and every time I cast it as an instant, my opponents were like, "Okay," like nobody knew that it was a sorcery until the very last round. My opponent was like, "It's a sorcery." I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" But no, but I didn't know. For some reason, I just thought it was an instant, and so did all my opponents.
Yeah.
So this is going to be like, all right, like someone's going to play this at the pre-release and tap it for 2 extra mana, and their opponent's going to be like, okay, that card's pretty good.
I absolutely would have.
Yeah.
I absolutely.
Because that's what
would've.
all the rest of these types of cards do, right? So.
Right.
But
It's weirdly worded. Not
See,
as good as I thought it.
this might open up some archetypes for draft though, which normally wouldn't be available. So it's
possible.
interesting.
I mean, I was a big fan of Manolith way back in Corset. I don't know what Corset that was.
Sure.
I'll be playing this card.
So now we have the Scale Lords. So at the beginning of combat, your creatures you control with toughness 4 or greater get +2/+2 and gain vigilance.
This is a build around me. Like
It
definitely.
is built around. It's interesting.
You can play pre-combat and attack and act like an overrun. Like,
Toughness
It is
4.
an overrun if you have the right cards.
yeah. It seems interesting.
5 mana is a lot for this.
It is a lot.
I mean,
I guess at least it doesn't the first turn you play it if you play it pre-combat.
you get the effect every turn.
Yeah.
It's probably
Yeah,
fine.
it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, I could see there are certainly decks you're going to have where this is definitely not making the cut, and there are decks where this is going to like blow somebody out.
Yeah.
Like they're going to play
I
this.
think you need a good chunk of toughness for creatures.
I could see myself picking this early and just building around it though, because it seems like such a powerful effect. If it
I
works,
don't think I ever want to play this really.
You get a bunch of those 3 mana 2/4s.
Yeah, like
Now who's
it has
left?
to be insane with those, right? Like,
I would hope
or you just
so.
unmegamorph a couple guys throughout the game, then you play this and just bash all your
If
guys
it's not
into
insane
theirs.
with this card, then it's not going to be insane with anyone.
Yeah, I don't know. This is another skill tester. Either this card's terrible or it's great. It's gonna be one of the two. So I'm not sure.
know where I'm. So we've got a Stampeding Elk Herd. So gives creatures trample. Well, it's fine. This is a fine card.
It's a 5/5 for 5 at common. It's big
yeah,
with relevant ability. I mean, it's not too hard to get to 8 power with 5 power, right?
I mean, it almost 70% of the time it's just going to say creatures you control have trample, because you only need 3 more power.
This is pretty absurd on a common.
Yeah, it is kind of absurd in the common. Considering Pine Walker was a high pick and was 5/5/5. Like, granted, it has Morph, but it was a much bigger creature than most other things, and this is pretty big.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Pine Walker was good because you could play it on turn 3 though. So
It seems like you're going to be cutting a lot of good playables in this set.
yeah, there's not a lot of chaff, oddly.
No, it's not. Yeah, I think this card's good, particularly for a common. I might take this over the 3/5, the cat beast.
Oh, the lore one.
Yeah, I think
I feel like if you're getting formidable
more
lure, it's gonna be
reliable.
better than trample.
It is, but this is just, I mean, it's just bigger.
This is more reliably going to be
It's more
formidable. It also
reliably gonna be a
enables
better
control.
card, sure.
Yeah. So we got a rare Bolster X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter against trample until the end of turn.
So this is probably like 4 mana bolster 3 against trample.
Right. Yeah.
Eh.
Is that
This is probably I would very much think this is
It's
likely,
a weird overrun.
Yeah,
It's
I mean
like-
there are times when it's a 4 mana sorcery speed Awaken the Bear.
It's not even
That-
overrun, right? Like they just
No,
get
it's not.
trample.
It's close to overrun if all your creatures have. If you have like 3/4 of your
Yeah.
creatures have a +1/+1 counter, like there's a green-white deck where this is actually overrun.
I could see myself being very, very disappointed that I opened this card in my pack. So
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's a tough build around card.
yeah.
It's the type of card you like find.
There's a lot of bolster, but
There's
yeah,
quite a
I
bit
mean, I
more
don't know if I
bolster than I
want
thought.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have Surak. Probably worse than the other Surak. but
Much
let's
worse
find
than
out.
the other one, yeah.
So it's a 5/4 4
Freaking monk still.
haste. Okay. So if you're formidable, he gains haste. So he could be a 5/4 with haste, and
And then it gives your next guy
Yeah.
haste.
yeah, next guy haste.
Are
He's
there
not
decks
bad.
that want this card in standard?
He's a strong rare. I don't know if
I
he's
mean, I don't think I'm passing him.
The 4 toughness sucks a lot too because of Stoke the Flames. If you're thinking about it as a standard card,
Yeah, I don't think
Oh,
it tries
yeah.
to stoke the flames and to Valorous stance.
it's definitely
And-
worse than Polychronos.
Obviously, the black removal.
Yeah, I mean, haste is still interesting, but it's not haste post wrath unless you've got a 3-power guy to play with him.
Like
So-
the Raptor somehow.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's great in standard. I think he's
He's probably
like
He's-
you take him.
He's a
most
card
of the
you
time.
first pick in limited. Like he's
He's
a rare.
pretty
good.
pretty good and limited. Yeah.
Pretty.
I wager he's probably not very good in constructed and will just be a bulk rare though.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah.
So was Predator Strike too strong? I didn't play a lot of Mirrored and Block.
I mean, one more mana draw card's pretty good, right? But yeah, it was probably too
What do you-
good. Drawing cards off of your pump spells is good. So
What card is that?
isn't that Predator Strike?
No,
Predator
that's
Strike.
+3/+3 trample.
Oh,
Is Predator
okay.
Strike.
That was 2 mana?
It seems like that costs 3. You awaken the bear, and
Yeah.
well, this will
So
too.
yeah. So what they did
Yeah.
was they added the mana to Predator Strike for Awaken the Bear, or they kept the mana the same and took off a power and a
Right.
toughness.
It must have been too good for the cost then. I'm thinking of
It was quite good. I mean, we don't seem to see giant growths either anymore, though.
Not
They don't
often.
like-
No.
It was in Return to Ravnica.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You don't see them very often
Alright.
though. Like it's like every couple sets.
It is. I mean, this is reasonable combat trick, I guess.
Trample's probably relevant. Yeah.
I mean, it's a like Awaken the Bear. It's less,
it's
cost-
way better than
the fact that
Awaken
it's
the
cheaper
Bear. I'd
makes
rather
it better,
see
yeah.
+2.
For sure.
Right.
Like shading a mana off is a much better deal than like I don't care about the power and toughness as much.
It's certainly better defensively because it looks less suspicious when you have 2 mana as opposed to 3.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine as a combat trick.
So,
So there you have it. That is all the green cards, the lovely, lovely green, and we'll be back to wrap up the set with the multicolored artifact land and the litany of colorless cards that this set provides. So
It's like Eldrazi.
yeah.
we will see you then.
See ya.